Sneakers and Cleats, the podcast.
Hey, Ron. Welcome back to the Sneakers and Cleats podcast. This is Thursday, August 28th, episode 221. 221. We've somehow made it this far. How are you, Chuck?
I'm doing well, Matt. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I told Chuck this is maybe the first time I've ever seen him wearing a hat. He does not wear hats often.
It's probably time that I start wearing a hat more. As I told you earlier, I'm having a bad hair decade, so it's probably good that I start covering it up.
Well, speaking of bad hair decades, I was in the car the other day. My friends and I were driving to we were going to SeaWorld in Aquatica, and I was driving, a couple of friends in the back seat, and out of nowhere, he's just like, "Matt, you have a lot of white hair." Like, okay, jerk, that was unnecessary. It's true, but I don't need you to tell me about it.
I don't see.
It's all on the sides. It's covered by the.
I think gray hair is cool as hell, man. I love gray hair. I wish I had more gray hair.
Yeah, it's just it's an unfriendly reminder of where things are going. I don't mind the gray hair. My grandfather had a full head of hair. I had two grandpas, obviously. One of them was bald by the time he was 50, and the other one had a full head of hair until he died. But they went prematurely gray. They were gray by 40. Yeah, but now I'm getting bit in the ass about it. Like,
we're seasoned, as Sean Elliott would say.
We're seasoned.
Yes.
All right. Well, enough with the
Many
season.
seasons.
Enough with the seasoning here. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, both News 4 Fox SA, download, rate, review the podcast version wherever you get your podcasts, if you are so inclined to do so. We got a lot going on, as we usually do. College football getting going in earnest today. Obviously, we had the appetizer last week with Kansas State and Iowa State with the top 25 matchup, but we have matchups galore this week, including some huge ones for some Texas schools. UTSA playing Texas A&M on Saturday at 6:30. And then the big one, obviously, that everyone's talking about is the Longhorns traveling to the shoe to Columbus to take on Ohio State. We'll get Bob's take on that, since coming from our resident Ohio State fan.
Love me some Ohio State.
Over here. He's got a brown sweater on. Might as well just put an L on there. So we'll break down those matchups, as well as give our thoughts on the full slate of college football. Plus, Chuck and I are going to make our playoff rankings, our playoff predictions, I should say, as well as who will win the national championship. Plus, I want to give some shout outs to some local kids here in San Antonio that are from this area or around South Texas that made some college or some NFL rosters, NFL practice squads, including one guy that's very close to all of us here. And we'll probably give a shout out to tonight on the broadcast at TNL, Rashad Wisdom, making the 53 in Tampa Bay. So good for him. And then last but not least, it wouldn't be a podcast nowadays if we didn't talk about Micah Parsons, who apparently has a huge offer from the Packers to try and acquire Micah and bring him to Green Bay. And I know that Chuck is eagerly interested in that as our resident Packer fan on this set. So
would be nice.
First and foremost, though, area code 221. Area code 221. Anyone have a guess?
I have none.
Give me a guess. Give me a guess. Somewhere in the U.S.
Paducah, Kentucky.
Paducah, Kentucky.
Is there such a place? Is Paducah in Kentucky?
I have no idea. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Help me out. That's kind of in your neighborhood.
I have no idea what 221 is.
Fun fact: it is unassigned. It is not actually any part of the U.S.
Okay.
Wait, there's area codes?
Allegedly, according to the AI overview on Google.
Wow.
I did not know that, but that's says
pretty cool.
U.S. Route 221 is a north-south highway stretching from Florida to Virginia, but there is no 221 area code. So I found the problem in our little game here. Some of them are unassigned, which I did not know. So fun fact.
Fun facts.
It is fun.
Fun facts on this Thursday morning. I'm also a little delirious. I've been up since 2:30, so I'm doing my best here.
Oh, just when I was getting home. No, just kidding.
Yeah. Chuck McGinnick raging on a Wednesday night. Stumbling in at 2:30. Let's talk UTSA and A&M first. UTSA is 23.5-point dogs in Kyle Field at College Station. Over-under is 56.5. That number has come down a little bit. Both of them have. Actually, the over-under has crept up. The spread has crept down a little bit, come down to 23.5. I think I saw it as high as 25.5. So people betting on the Roadrunners to go into and give A&M a little bit of a game or maybe a backdoor cover What are your thoughts as our resident A&M savant over here, since your children went there or child went
Yes,
there?
two childs.
Two childs.
It's interesting to have seen what that spread started, right? It was 21 forever, then it jumped up, and now it's moving back down. So I think they're getting closer to where it probably needs to be. As you can see that there are obviously more people starting to get in on the action. I don't know how to read this other than broad scope. When is the last time A&M ever won a game by that many points?
Fair.
So, there's a lot that goes into this, right? I believe Elko is going to really take this team to another level, or this organization to another level. They've got 15 guys coming back from last year's team that are starters. So there's a lot there that there should be, you would think, year 2 of the system and the culture, that things would be moving in the right direction. I think their offseason was probably better than it was the offseason before. A&M's one of those teams, I think early on, a lot of people were sleeping on in the SEC, but now it seems like in the last 2 or 3 weeks, when people have had a chance to really deep dive and look at what they have, that maybe they're starting to give them a little more preseason respect than they were getting. The other side of this is, I think the same thing with UTSA. We've been around Jeff Traylor long enough this offseason, and I think the general consensus is he's legitimately pissed at what happened last year. And I'm trying to really figure out why, because I think there were a lot of subtle culture victories last year, even in the midst of when they were banged up. There's somebody banging their knee over
seriously,
here. Put him
Bob
on the
just
IR.
banged his knee on the desk.
It hurts a little.
And you were at the UTSA luncheon. I mean, you walk around the room and you see those guys with just jerseys on. I mean, it wouldn't have been that long ago that Texas A&M would have eye tested, if that makes sense.
Yep.
A squad like UTSA. Those days are long gone, man. There are NFL-sized dudes there. You got to like what they did inside the transfer portal. I like that they're playing with a little angst. So, I don't know if they could pull off an upset that monumental, but I sure do like the point spread where it's sitting at. It's odd watching a game in Kyle Field, because anytime anything goes wrong, you can feel the air go out of 108,000 people. I mean, their fans literally roll play to play, and the sky is falling or we're going to the natty on each single play. So if UTSA can do some things early, they might have a chance to make that thing interesting.
Let's hear from both coaches, Jeff Traylor and Mike Elko.
You just hope you can hang around with them as long as you can. And then if you can get it there late, something might happen. I'd like to tell you there's all these magic plays and these magic schemes we can run, and we're going to try our best to have a few of those. But at some point, someone's got to physically move the other person. And at some point, someone's got to go up and high point a ball. And at some point, some corner's got to go up and high point on the other side for us. We've got certain things we've got to do. And we just rather keep that in the bag a little while longer.
Obviously, anytime you play an in-state program, there's going to be a little something to that. Those kids certainly will be fired up to come over here and play at Kyle Field. Their head coach, Jeff Traylor, does a phenomenal job. He's done an amazing job with that program, building it, being successful year in and year out, transitioning it up into the American Athletic Conference, and obviously picked to be one of the premier teams in that league. And, that is a very, very good football conference.
Yeah, or the American now, as it is referenced, is very. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't unmute us. I was so excited to talk. The AAC, or now the American, as it is now referenced, is a really good football conference. Tulane, North Texas, Memphis. I mean,
yeah, they're no crash dummies.
Yeah,
right?
You have a lot of good teams in there, and they're kind of the darling of the group of 5 schools, or group of 6 now if you include the Pac-12. I mean, the Mountain West was really good. Obviously, they have Boise State over there. That's now going to the Pac-12. But the American is really where a lot of people think that the group of 5 representative in the playoff is going to come from. And UTSA has a lot of those hopes. A good showing against Texas A&M will feed a lot of fodder, a lot of people to say, okay, UTSA can actually do this. What UTSA has to prove is that they have 11 guys coming back on offense. Every starter on offense is coming back, mainly because they were so freaking injured last year. And so they're all coming back on offense. And on defense, you have no one coming back. I think everyone's concern about this is, okay, you have 0 returning starters coming back on defense. Yes, a lot of guys who were backups or played some key roles last year but didn't start for the Roadrunners are going to be on that defense. But you have guys like Shad Banks and Blackshear that are coming in and filling huge roles. Are they going to get shoved around by this Texas A&M running game? Marcel Reed is going to be another year older. Have they tailored this offense more to Marcel Reed and how his read option goes on the offense? You know that a Mike Elko defense is always going to be really good. How can UTSA's offense get going against a team that you know is going to be fundamentally sound?
Yeah, A&M's offensive line getting a lot of early season love. And, even Marcel Reed, that kid just looks the part, right? He doesn't look like he's too afraid of the moment. I thought played really, really well last year. And, again, this is a nice, fun early season game, obviously to see where both teams are. But, I think regardless, win or lose, both of these teams are probably set for a pretty good year.
This isn't like, I just don't think this is like Texas against UTSA last year, where the offense is just clicking on all cylinders. The Texas offense all cylinders, and the defense of UTSA just couldn't get out of the way fast enough. Essentially, they were already injured by week 3 of last year. They were coming off a huge loss to Texas State, which demoralized the entire team. You're starting off in Kyle Field. They've never played in a stadium this big with this many people that are all going to be rooting against them. And I think it's going to take. I wouldn't be surprised if A&M goes up like 10-zip, 14-zip in the first quarter, because I think there will be a shock factor of exactly what's going on. But the offense and Owen McCown is going to be something that I think is nationally talked about. They are, as long as they stay healthy, are poised to be one of the top 25 offenses in the entire country. And with everything that we've seen and heard from Jeff and all the players, there's no effing around. They're not going to F around and find out. They're going to come out and try and punch him in the mouth. Don't be surprised if there's trick plays and they're pulling everything out of the couch cushions to try and beat Texas A&M, because I guarantee you if they do beat Texas A&M, the next week they have a cupcake, and then they go into next week they have Texas State, who's not a cupcake, and then they have UIW. They beat A&M, they will be a nationally ranked team. Like, this team is that good.
Well said. I mean, it's going to be really, really fascinating to see, because I think you're right. I think they do have to pull out all the stops. They got to have some trickeration in there, some things that A&M has never seen before. I think the other side of that is, because this is game 1, because there's a lot to prove, obviously for both teams, but hopefully you don't get too banged up going into a game like this that kind of screws you for the rest of the year.
To that point, let's get to Jeff's other soundbite here, and then I'll break that down.
Whenever you play those schools that are that massive and they have such a advantage because they're in the SEC and the recruiting budget and all those things that you are very well of, is their backups are all on the special teams, and they're just freakishly fast and freakishly big. They're just young. So I think you got to really pay attention to special teams. Can we hang in there in the special team battle? And that's going to be a big tell of the game.
Yeah. I mean, when you have that depth and that size in the SEC schools, that's why the SEC is the SEC. They get their backups are starters at other places. I mean, but when it comes to staying healthy, I hate hearing we just want to come out of this game healthy, because if you play not to get hurt, that's when you get hurt. And so I hope that UTSA isn't scarred from last year in the sense of, God, we just want to get out of game 1 with all of our bullets still. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That would be a shame if that was the mindset. And we've heard that from Jeff already. So that makes me a little bit hesitant. But if you gun to my head said, Matt, bet an amount of money that matters to you on this game, I would take UTSA plus 23.5, because that's too big of a number. The Texas A&M seems to always play with their food on most occasions. And UTSA, I think, has a fire lit under their ass this season to try and right the wrongs from last year.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I think of A&M's football team and what it could be, there's a lot early on, I think, that they have to overcome. And I mean, I think that point spread's a telltale sign, right? It is a lot. And, if they go out and they cover that point spread, I think that should be one of their goals, at least mentally, we we're told that we were this many points better, whether, internally they're not talking about that kind of stuff, I don't think. But, I think from the psyche of the A&M fan, that would go a long way if they covered that point spread.
The Aggies have a lot to play for this Saturday. If they lose, they're kiss the playoff goodbye. Like, you can't lose to UTSA and make the playoff. Notre Dame could lose to Northern Illinois last year because they killed everybody. Same with Indiana. You could lose to Ohio State because you killed everybody else. You need to kill UTSA if you're going to lose 3 games in the SEC, or else don't lose 3 games in the SEC. So huge game for both teams. I think we're both on the same page. UTSA covers, but Texas A&M wins.
Yes.
Okay. Bob, anything on that before we get to your Ohio State Buckeyes?
I think UTSA is going to get crushed.
Well, yeah, but by how much?
Like 25 points.
So you think Texas A&M covers? All right. They're the 19th ranked team in the country for a reason. So let's get to Texas and Ohio State. So Ohio State favored by 1.5. That's it. 1.5 in Columbus. That line was at 3, I think, earlier this week. Has come down now. The money coming in on Texas to cover or to win in Columbus. The over-under now sitting at 47.5. Huge 1-3 matchup. Just a massive game to start off the season, something that everyone is excited for, mainly because, 1, it's the reigning national champs, but 2, because of the name on the back of the jersey of the starting quarterback for the Texas Longhorns. Let's hear from Arch Manning real quick and what he thinks about this game going in.
I mean, I think that's all of us at Texas, and I think we kind of try to shift the narrative. We're going for everyone else. Target's not on our back. We got the red dot on everyone else. Take every challenge head on, and I'm excited for this challenge. It's going to be a big one. Open up with the reigning champs, so what more could you ask for? That's why you come to Texas.
It's a weird position that Texas is in, just because you're playing the number 1 team in the world, or you're playing the number 3 team in the country, but the reigning champs, and you're coming in with the target on your back, which is just kind of a weird dynamic, right?
Yeah, the whole thing is a little odd, right? I mean, but it's really now going to be 2 different teams, right? I mean, you got Arch, the new quarterback at Texas. Saiyan is the new quarterback.
Super Saiyan.
I'm just saying.
Just saying.
So you've got 2 different teams. I just can't imagine, somebody gave the keys to both of these quarterbacks, right? And said, okay, go. And this is the one you got to start off with. I mean, Arch Manning, boy, the legend will grow instantly if you can go into Buckeye Nation with all the thousands and thousands, over 100,000 plus there, watching that game and do it. And same for the Ohio State quarterback too. I mean, it's going to be a fun matchup to see exactly where these teams are in week 0.
Bob, you miss your 2 cents here.
So, Chip Kelly,
yes,
left Ohio State.
Personally,
He's
yes,
over
my
in
friend.
Vegas now, right?
Yes.
And you hate some Chip Kelly?
I said yes. I know him personally. My friend.
Yeah. But so Brian Hartline's taken over calling the plays, and
Matt Patricia taking over on the defensive side.
Hartline was going to call plays 2 years ago as they went into the season, and they took it away from him. They said, "No, you're not ready yet." So he's had a little time to work with Chip Kelly now. I don't know. I'm a little scared. We have like a big time, unproven quarterback with a big time unproven play caller against a fantastic defense. The only thing that really I look forward to is I want to see James Peoples. I want to see that guy.
Yeah, me too.
That Memorial
2-0.
product 2-0.
And if he gets off, that'll be great, because if Texas has to start bringing their safeties up, then Jeremiah Smith is going to go off. They did a great job of containing him in their game last year, but if you can't one-on-one him, and if they can get over the top, Ohio State can get the win. But it's going to be close. It's going to be tough. I'm not saying they're going to win. I'm saying it's going to be a close game. That's all I know.
I think it's a 23-20 game, and I think Texas wins just because of this. Both teams got gutted by the NFL draft, especially on offensive and defensive lines. So where do you go past that? Well, the best players on both teams are both on defense. We don't know. You can't say Arch is the best player on the team yet because you don't know. You've seen 3 games from him: UTSA, Colorado State, and Mississippi State last year while Quinn Ewers is out. We don't know what Arch is, even though everyone's projecting. The best players on the team are Caleb Downs.
Maybe the best player.
Maybe the best player of both. Yeah, in college football. Caleb Downs, the safety out of Ohio State. You have Trey Moore. You have the safety for Texas. They have a lot of guys returning. You have Anthony Hill, I believe, at linebacking and the linebacking core. All the best players in this game are on defense, and then you have Jeremiah Smith. So how do the defenses adjust? So then it goes to, okay, who do I trust as the offensive coordinator? I trust Sark with a playbook way more than I trust Brian Hartline with a playbook. Yeah. I trust Sark against Matt Patricia's pencil-wearing butt better than I trust Hartline against the defensive coordinator at Texas. So when you add all those things up, I think that Texas has the edge. Will Arch be insane, be, thrown off by the lights? I don't know, but I think it's a 23-20, 23-14, 20-14, something like that Texas win. The under smashes in this game, I think. I don't think any points are scored.
I think the thing that benefits Texas the most is that Arch has started games. And that's got to mean a little something, right? Going into a game like this, it's not like he's going to be taking the field for the first time and somebody says go. It is that now he's definitely the guy. He doesn't have to worry about backing anybody up. So I don't really know how to see this game, honestly. It's just, the thought of Ohio State losing a game 1 at home, I don't care what the magnitude is, man, that's a hard one for me to get past. I don't care who's playing quarterback for them or not playing quarterback.
I think the game matters for the playoff in the sense of if either team gets blown out, it's really going to be held against them. Yes, it's the first game of the season, and when you have to be good late, and if you make a late run and start rolling past people, then yes, it can make up for a lot of sins. But if this game is 40-7 for Texas or for Ohio State, it's going to leave a pretty big blemish on your resume.
Hey, if it's a blowout, it's going to be Texas blowing out Ohio State. Ohio State will not blow out.
Ohio State doesn't blow teams out, so usually.
Well,
besides bad teams.
Here's the way I look at this too. As long as it's not Michigan going into Ohio State, you got to like their chances.
I mean, they just won a national championship, and Bob still wants Ryan Day fired. So,
what's up?
Any comments for now on either game before we get to the predictions ahead from in the chat or anything? Someone sending novels in there.
That's you don't even want to know what that is. Tom Guerrero's in the house, and he says, "Come on, Matt, I need a definite number for my bets."
All right, 23-20 Texas.
Okay, I'll take Ohio State, but I'll take Texas to cover the point spread.
To cover the one?
Yes.
So you think it's a 1-point game?
Yes.
It's really threading a needle here.
And then that would make it a push game, right?
Well, depends on what you call it. 23-22.
Okay, well, I'm just doing it so I can play both sides of the aisle on this one because I honestly don't know how to call it.
All right, let's get to a prediction. Let's get to some predictions here for the college football playoff. Chuck, you first.
You first.
Age before beauty. Come on.
No, really, because you gave me a 15-minute head start on this, so I feel like you probably.
I also started my list exactly when I told you.
Okay.
So to be fair, I've thought about it a little, but you're not going to be surprised by most of the teams on here.
Okay.
I have Arizona State winning the Big 12. They're the best team in the Big 12. They have everyone coming back. I think that they make the 6th seed this year just because last year they made the 4 technically because they won the Big 12, but they only made it as high as they did because of how good they were late in the season. Now they're coming in with eyes on them, and they're not going to catch anyone sleeping this year. So I think that they have the potential to make it higher and a better ranking throughout the season, even though the Big 12, they took away the buys for the top 4 teams being the top 4 conference winners this year. So they won't get a bye like they did last year. Anyway, so I have Alabama winning the SEC. Kalen DeBoer brought in Ryan Grubbs, his offensive coordinator from his time at Washington. And I think that's going to be a huge, huge help for all the guys over at Alabama. Penn State has the most talent of any team in the nation. They're going to win the Big Ten, I think.
Their coach can't win big games.
Coach can't win big games, small game James, but he does blow out people. He does blow out people when he needs to. So Penn State at the 2 seed. Clemson has probably the most talented defense and defensive front in the nation. So I have them at 3. Texas, the runner-up, loses to Alabama in the SEC championship game, still makes it at the 4 seed. Ohio State at 5. Arizona State at 6. Notre Dame probably drops a game sometime this year. I hope they don't lose to Northern Illinois again or something like that, but they'll probably drop a game at some point. They'll get the 7 seed. Georgia at 8. I have LSU at 9, Oregon at 10, Oklahoma at 11. I'm very high on Oklahoma. Their win total started at 6.5, and then I think it's crept all the way up to 8.5. John Mateer comes in from Washington State. Has ties to Oklahoma. They brought in Washington State's offensive coordinator as well. So instead of him having to learn a whole new offense, the whole new offense is having to learn the rest of the team. So I like that synergy for John Mateer. John Mateer has a good chance of being a Heisman hopeful.
You don't have any smaller schools in there,
and then UTSA is my 12th.
Oh, nice.
Is my 12th seed. So
got my eye on them too.
I swear I'm really, really high on UTSA. I think that this is the year that they go 11-1 with the one loss being Texas A&M, and winning the American and getting into the playoff, and then ultimately getting trashed by Ohio State. But that's just what's going to happen. I think that UTSA is a live dog this weekend. I think there's a chance they beat Texas A&M. I really do. But the problem with that is if you beat Texas A&M, you have Texas State coming in next week, and that's always a rivalry game. So I hope that if they do beat Texas A&M, they don't, rest on their laurels and lose that game next week to Texas State. But those are my 12, and then ultimately I have Penn State over Bama in the game. I think big game James, small game goes to big game James, and 2 back-to-back, or actually that would be 3 back-to-back Big Ten national champion.
What's the quarter? Allard?
Drew Allard.
That kid's good.
He is good. He's going to be, and if that happens, he's probably going to win the Heisman. He's probably going to be the number 1 overall pick next year. So,
okay, in no particular order, I'm going to go with South Carolina.
Okay, there's one SEC.
Little sleeper. SMU.
Okay.
Michigan.
ACC, Big Ten, Independent, Notre Dame.
I got your squad.
Forks up, baby.
Texas, Clemson, Ohio State, LSU, Oregon. I'm going to sneak in with Texas Tech.
So 2 Big 12 teams in there. That would be interesting. I thought about that. I thought about Utah. I'm not a huge high on Texas Tech. They spent, $25 million on this roster, getting every 4-star there was. They recruited more 4-stars at Texas Tech this year than the rest of the Big 12 combined.
Wow.
Gotta like it. And they were a field goal, 1 possession game away from playing in the conference title game last year.
Yeah. Didn't they barely beat Abilene Christian in the first game of the season last year?
I got Penn State.
There you go.
And I got my eyes on Texas State or James Madison.
James Madison could do it because they play a cupcake of a schedule.
Well, that's some of this, right? I mean, like if you look at Texas Tech's schedule, it's, the old strength of schedule comes into play. And, when you say stuff like that, it demeans the other teams. And I certainly don't want to do that. But if you're looking for, at this point in the season where chips could fall, I mean, it's the same thing with Texas State. I mean, there's some games in there. Obviously, they're going to be tested inside the division, the Troys of the world. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, man. Something tells me GJ's sleeping, and we're sleeping on GJ again when we should not be.
I'll demean the other teams. The James Madison's conference sucks. Liberty is has the highest odds. I think highest odds are in the top 3 of odds of group of 5 teams to make the college football playoff because they play a trash schedule. There's a really good chance they go 12-0. I think that their over-under on their win total is 10.5. Like their schedule is just horrible. And we saw a couple of years ago when they went up and played Bo Nix in Oregon, and I think it was the Fiesta Bowl, and they got beat 60-7 because they just play nobody at all ever. So like those teams like James Madison has a weak schedule. Texas State plays in the Conference USA. Hopefully they the Sun Belt, and hopefully they start getting a better schedule when they go to the Pac-12 next year. But it's hard to put teams in that don't play anybody. And so,
but one of them is going to get hot and run the table, and they're going to have earned the right to be there.
But I mean, last year when we saw this, Boise State got hot and they made it, but they also took Oregon down to the wire, and Oregon was the top seed. So
yeah, I mean,
you got to have a good game against a good team.
Any team has a great season at the end of the season is going to be a pretty damn good team, even against the quote unquote big boys.
Fair enough. All right. Well, let's
one team I think you should throw in the mix, Illinois. I don't know if you
Luke
Altmaier, getting a lot of love.
Luke Altmaier, the quarterback over there. I covered that team actually when I was in Illinois before I came here to San
Antonio.
You
didn't cover that team.
I didn't cover that team, but I covered that school. And I like Brett Bielema a lot. I think we might be sleeping on Kirk Cignetti again, but one of those two teams is going to be really good, either Indiana or Illinois. It's going to be really interesting, guys. It's going to be a really interesting year. Someone is going to come out of nowhere and surprise us, and both of our lists are going to be completely effed up. So
I guarantee you mine is. So. Don't try this at home.
Real quick, I want to shout out some local guys on the NFL. We're going to breeze through the next two topics here. Shout out to some local guys on making some NFL rosters. Dennis Houston at Warren. I based this off of your tweets last night, basically. Dennis Houston out of Warren made it on the Tampa Bay practice squad. DeMarvion Lee from Judson. Shout out to Judson. They have 3 players on this list. Going to the Steelers. Eli Garcia. He was a Stevens and Rice alum. He's going to the Giants. Elliott Davidson, UTSA, going to the Saints. Sam Ehlinger, Texas quarterback, going to the Broncos. He actually turned down other active roster spots to be on the practice squad in Denver, which was really impressive and says a lot about what the Broncos are building over there. Shout out to the Broncos. Sincere McCormick makes the 49ers practice squad after missing out on the Raiders. He's from Judson, UTSA. And then 2 quick minutes on Rashad Wisdom. What Rashad Wisdom has done to make the 53-man roster in Tampa Bay. Shout out to UTSA and Judson alum. He was the lifeblood of a lot of UTSA teams, and he did everything necessary. And I love seeing good things happen to good people, and you don't get better than Rashad and his family.
And 100%. And I mean, honestly, I think anybody that knows that young man, not surprised by any of his success. It was like, if you open the door or give him an opportunity, you can't play at a school like UTSA or any school and have the resume that guy had,
right,
and not be, to me, considered a pro prospect. You know, he always heard he's too this, he's too that, too small, too slow, whatever. Well, the biggest thing he could control was too slow. So he went, trained like a dog before he went to the league a couple years ago, and got to the point where he was running a really good 40 time. And, you know, these guys at the next level have to see that, right? They have to know that you are at least functional against other players in terms of how you run a 40, because I don't care how good you are. If you don't have certain measurables, it will not translate to the next level because you're physically not ready to go. Well, he trained and trained and trained, got his 40 time. You know, Ben Sims with the Packers, same thing. They all said, oh, we like everything about you. You're just too damn slow. Well, he worked on that, and, you know, now Ben's getting ready to go into year 3. So, you know, Rashad's a worker. He wanted this. It's who he is. He's got a next level brain and can see down the road and put himself in these positions. So yeah, I'm just glad everything has worked out, and he's basically brought the NFL universe to him. He made it happen, and you got to love it. And then, you know, Josh Reynolds too, sticking yet another year. So, you know, there's a reason these guys have talent, and obviously they've worked to put themselves in a position to call themselves NFL football players on the 53-man roster.
Nothing I can add to that. So congratulations to all those guys that are sticking around in the NFL for a long time. Real quick, is Micah Parsons getting traded? There's a bunch of rumors going around right now that the Packers threw out 2 firsts, a second, a sixth, and a $45 million per year contract to Micah Parsons. And you have somebody, I saw another article, and I should have written it down where I saw it, that the Cowboys, despite the public posturing that they are not trading Micah, are now open to listening to trade offers. So do you think that that Micah gets traded?
In my heart of hearts, I don't want to believe it, right? And I said this the other day too. It's like, I can't imagine it's going to get to the point where he's going to end up missing games, right? They're going to figure something out. But here we are, you know, it's almost too late to think that he would be a game ready for game 1, right? I mean, because it's not just, you know, a matter of being in shape and all that. I'm going to assume that he probably is, but it's how do others play with you when you're on the practice field?
Also, it's football shape. It's
right.
Different.
100%. But I mean, even the fact that you know, there's 10 other guys on the field with you, and there's something to be said about, you can't just plug in, or you're not going to get everybody's best if he literally is walking off the street and then we say go, right? I mean, there's too many variables. So I don't want to think that it could possibly happen because of how much he actually means to this football team. But, you know, I don't know at this point. I mean, now we're hearing that there's some other posturing going on, that he's going to go get his back looked at again. So now is he trying to get paid while if he's trying to force his way onto an IR situation where that gives him another month to negotiate. I have no idea what the hell's going on, but it just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me that we could get to this point and not have a deal done, right? Or that he's not going to be back on the field. So I don't know. Stranger things have happened, obviously, but I really don't know to what point truly this is degenerated to.
You know exactly how this is going to end. Thursday afternoon, we're going to get a notification that Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons have struck a deal, and it takes all of the shine off of the Eagles hanging their banner, and they get all the pub leading up to the game.
I like the way you
that
think.
Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones have rekindled their flame and have come into a negotiation. This was all just a ploy. And so Micah and Jerry get all the headlines and take everything away from the Eagles before going on the field and getting pummeled. That's all that he wants, is the talk in the pregame show before they air on NBC. And we'll be there for it. Guess what?
Right. Yeah, that's right. It worked out pretty well for the Cowboys last year. I thought, oh my gosh, do they really want all this going into the season opener? And arguably that was their best game of the season last year in Cleveland.
It was. Shout out to everyone. Shout out to everyone listening and watching today. Tune in tonight to the CWSA, where we have Johnson and Judson kicking off our 17th season of Thursday Night Lights. Presenting our sponsor now, Little Caesars. Little Caesars Thursday Night Lights, presented by the Gomez Law Firm. We'll say that a lot over the next 11 weeks. It's going to be a lot of fun. Chuck and Don will be on the call. I will be on the sidelines, and you'll probably hear me say pizza, pizza a lot because it's our new sponsor.
It's
So you
easy.
guys are a great team,
It's
too.
an easy one, right? Oh, you're very kind, Bob. Thanks.
Appreciate
The
that.
works in progress.
I mean, you guys have been doing it a long time to be a work in
17
progress.
years, but not all 17. That's what we like to say.
Fair enough. Remember, download, rate, review, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, tell a friend, tell an enemy. We'll be back on Monday with a full review of week 1 of the college football. We'll see you then.